cartilage before we move on to the actual bone. All right, so let's start with the different types of cartilage. First, we have skeletal cartilage. Skeletal cartilage has no blood vessels or nerves. It is surrounded by a layer of dense irregular connective tissue that is known as the perichondrium. This dense outer layer is going to resist outward expansion when the cartilage is compressed, and it's going to contain blood vessels that nourish the cartilage. So the cartilage is not served by blood vessels itself, but by the connective tissue that surrounds it. This consists primarily of water. The perichondrium, note that term peri means around and chondrium is referring to cartilage, so it's around the cartilage. The thickness of the cartilage is determined by the distance that nutrients can ultimately diffuse. And we're going to start this over. All right. Hi. And in this video, okay, we're going to scrub until right here. All right. In this video, we are going to be talking about the anatomy and physiology of the skeletal system. The skeletal system is going to be comprised of both bone and cartilage. We're going to talk a little bit about cartilage first before we go into the bone, since the majority of the skeletal system is made up of bone tissue. So cartilage itself consists primarily of water and is going to be resilient. It's going to spring back after being compressed. The skeletal cartilage is going to be avascular and not have any nerves going to it, but it will be surrounded by a layer of dense irregular connective tissue. This dense irregular connective tissue is known as the perichondrium because it is going to surround the cartilage. The perichondrium helps to resist the outward expansion when the cartilage is compressed, and is also going to contain the blood vessels that help nourish the cartilage. The thickness of the cartilage is ultimately determined by the distance that the nutrients can diffuse. And now that we know what cartilage is in general, we're going to look at the different types of cartilage. There are three main types of cartilage that we'll look at. As you can see on the skeleton, they are denoted in blue, red. So you can see the blue, the red here, and the green. So we'll talk about these cartilages and their functions. So first we have the elastic cartilage. The elastic cartilage is elastic because it contains elastic fibers. You will find this in areas that are subjected to repeated bending. So things like the external ear and the epiglottis. So the picture over here denotes it in green, and you can see the epiglottis over here is also green. So that's where you find this cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is the most abundant skeletal cartilage. It contains fine collagen fibers within its matrix. These collagen fibers are going to provide support with resilience and flexibility. Where you find this, so you are going to find this at the ends of most of your movable joints. So this we refer to as your articular cartilage. So you can see that over here, your cartilage at the ends of this joint, and denoted in the blue structures on this diagram. You find it as part of the costal cartilage that connect the ribs to the sternum. So you can see it over here. And then in your respiratory system, you are going to see it supporting the larynx and reinforcing the respiratory passageways. The nasal cartilage is another place where you see it, so you can see it right here. That is going to help support the external nose. The last type of cartilage is the fibrocartilage. So this is going to consist of parallel rows of chondrocytes alternating with thick collagen fibers. Fibrocartilage is going to be resistant to compression and also have great tensile strength. So that means it's going to occur in sites that are subjected to pressure and stretch. So you find it in the meniscus of the knee. You also find it in your intervertebral disc. So we can see here is an intervertebral disc. Here is the cartilage between, or that makes up the meniscus of the knee. And you will also find it as a part of the pubic symphysis that joins the two pubic bones. So you can ignore this, whoops. This is a typo right here. All right, cartilage growth. There are two main types of cartilage growth. One is appositional growth. So in appositional growth, cartilage forming cells in the surrounding perichondrium are going to secrete new matrix against the external face of the existing cartilage tissue. So you can see here are your chondrocytes. They're secreting new matrix along this site. So these cartilage forming cells, I call them chondrocytes, I shouldn't have done that, but these cartilage forming cells are going to be secreting the new matrix. And then the other type of growth is your interstitial growth. So these are going to be lacuna bound. So we'll talk about lacuna when we get into the bone structure in more detail. But you can see that there's this opening here in the cartilage, and then bound within it are these chondrocytes. These are going to divide and ultimately secrete new matrix, and that is going to contribute to the cartilage there. So typically cartilage growth is going to end during adolescence once the skeleton has stopped growing, but under certain conditions, cartilage can become calcified. Calcified cartilage, note that it is not bone, and cartilage and bone are unique tissues. All right, so let's compare cartilage and bone. So the surrounding tissue in cartilage is known as the perichondrium, while in bone it's known as the periosteum. Blood vessels and nerves, cartilage has neither, while bone has both. Mature cells are known as chondrocytes that are found within the lacunae. The bone has the osteocytes that are also found within the lacunae. The extracellular matrix of cartilage is flexible, while you probably know that the bone extracellular matrix is fairly inflexible. The extracellular matrix is made by immature cartilage cells known as chondroblasts, while osteoblasts are the cells that make the extracellular matrix in bone. And then growth, you have both appositional and interstitial, while appositional is only going to contribute to bone growth. All right, so that video introduced cartilage and talked about it and introduced bone a little bit. In the next video, we'll talk about bone function in more detail.